Is this supposed to be on?
It should. No, we can hear you.
That's
The mic, yeah.
that's the mic. Okay.
You haven't done it yet, so. We're on.
Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of all the worlds. I bear witness that none deserve to be served, worship, or obeyed except Allah alone. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and his messenger, the seal of the prophets, a mercy to all mankind, and the leader of the modern world. And I always like to give thanks to Allah for being alive in this day and time, in this part of the world, and to have the opportunity to live this lifestyle that Allah says of all of the lifestyle that he allows to exist, the one that he prefers for his believing creatures is that of al-Islam, submission to his will. My name is Haywood Talib. I've been a member of this community since 1976. I came in, I guess, kind of connected with the so-called revolution, Black nationalist movement, protests, things like that. But at the same time, I'd always been kind of searching, try to get some answers. For some reason, I was kind of interested in scripture. I'm not sure what started me to trying to read the Bible, but I started reading the Bible at a young age, kind of young age, and it became interesting to me because one of the things that stood out was that some of the things that I was reading, I never heard the preachers preach, although I wasn't a heavy church goer. But during the time when I was a young boy, during segregation, we had a lot of religious programs on the radio. You had churches here and churches there, so you could get you some gospel singing, preaching, and all of that without even going into the church house. You just sometimes stand outside because there was a, I guess you call it a holiness, sanctified church that was kind of catacomb across from the house that I lived in Fifth Ward. But this has been a very interesting, enjoyable journey for me. I was talking to a young group this past Thursday, and I said something to them that I say every now and then, that my life has been fairly easy. Although I was born in segregation and raised in segregation, I don't have the scars that some people have. For some reason, I was saved from that, you know. And my life has been fairly easy all the time. I've always seemed to get a little break here and a little break there, and some help here and some help there. And I mentioned to the youngsters that I feel good about my life, that if I should wake up tomorrow and find myself dead, I wouldn't be too disappointed, you know, because it's been a nice ride for me up until this time. I still feel pretty good. I'm trying to adjust now to living alone because I was married for 60 years to my beautiful wife, and we had a nice life together. That's another part of the easiness that went on in my life. I think about that all the time. That I guess because I wanted it that way, I had as much freedom as anybody else, but I didn't abuse it. You know, I stayed a good boy and kept my nose clean and all of that as far as the married life was concerned. Now, some of these other things, that's something else. But I accepted Al-Islam in 1976. And I remember when I first came to the meeting of this community, for that particular time, because I had been to 2 meetings before, during the time when I was black, went to the meeting. Well, I guess it was on Polk. I say I hadn't been to the Masjid on Polk, but I guess it was during the time when Joe Tex, it was called Yusuf Aziz. He had become a Muslim in the Nation of Islam, and they had made him a minister. And he was going around preaching and so forth. He came to Houston once, preaching, and my wife and I said, let's go see what Joe Tex got to do. Yusuf Aziz. So we went. And one of the things that stands out with me about that scene, I enjoyed looking at the brothers here and the sisters and all of the discipline and all of that, but I was in my blackness. And might have been the time that I was in the red, black, and green. So I was at odds with red, white, and blue. And knowing that the Nation of Islam was talking all of this, black this, black that, black this, black that. But when I went to the meeting and I was looking at the uniforms of the brothers, I said, yeah, these people think they slick. So I see that red, white, and blue in their uniform, because the uniform is blue, and they had a red and white stripe or pin or something on the uniform. I know some of these brothers and sisters are brothers that may still have them, or they on display somewhere. But I was very, observant, looking for any little hole of somebody that's talking all of that stuff. So I said, yeah, you cats talking that stuff. I see that red, white, and blue. But as time went on, I came to see that was one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was not talking about. He never did talk about leaving America. In fact, he said he wanted some separate land and all of that for his community and so forth. And he never talked about leaving. Marcus Garvey talked about leaving. And that was the flag that I was wearing at that time, the red, black, and green. But that was an interesting thing. But during that time, I guess I was working with some bricklayers at that time. And that's a tough job, being a laborer for bricklayers, especially back in the early 70s and all at that time. But I enjoyed it. But I also had my first Ramadan during that time. And that was tough, And it's etched in my mind and my soul, or whatever it is, the month of July, August, because that's when I had my first Ramadan, and it was tough. But I was able to stick it out. I've been a little physical all my life. It's small, but kind of physical. And that has helped me up until today. But, when lunchtime would come, the men would go out and eat, and I'd go lay down under the tree. I had to throw water on my face and all this kind of stuff, go lay down under the tree. That was my lunch. And then once when we come home, I remember coming home a lot of times, and I'd come in the door and just fall right in the floor, because it wasn't time to break the fast yet. So when I come in, I'd fall on the floor, and my wife just looked at me, she just go ahead on, walk out until, it's time to break the fast, then I could eat and so forth. But that was interesting for me to go through those changes. But the other thing that was interesting was the changing of the name. Imam Muhammad had invited the whole African American community to give up to what we call slave names, give up the slave names, take on Quranic names. Some people said Arabic names, but it was given to us as Quranic names, although the names are in Arabic. But you're not so much becoming an Arab, you're trying to become Quranic, religious life. So we were told that you could change your name, and the main thing was to change the last name, because that was the name that was connected with our slave history, that you was property of Snodgrass or Johnson or Mr. Walker or somebody like that. So we would change the last name. So for me and my family, we all kept our first name. My first name was Haywood. I was a junior. In fact, my oldest son was Haywood. He was the third. But then, then he had to change. But he had to give up being Haywood the third. He was Haywood Talib, and I'm Haywood Talib. So we all kept our first names and changed the middle and last. And we had to have a lawyer to represent the children. These were our children, no doubt about it. But because they were underage, we had to have a lawyer to stand with them. And I guess we met Haroldine at the Shape Center, because that was my place of activity during that time. There's a lot of things that shape, out of shape, and so forth, still frequent there now. But we met this lawyer, and she came and stood for us, with us, and that was the easy part about it. During that time too, in the 50s and the 60s and so forth, you'd hear people say, "Man, you can't do this. Man, they ain't gonna let you do this. Them white folks ain't gonna let you do this, do that, and such and such." So we went down there to change our name, and it was zillions of people down there changing their names for one reason or another. And they asked me, "Well, what do you want to change it?" And I said, "This is for religious reasons." "Oh, okay, you're not trying to dodge your creditors and all that." "No, this is just for religious reasons." So he went on, signed us up, so forth. Now, their sister, that was the lawyer, she just passed, maybe last year. Haroldine Hosfield. I have a picture of her. In fact, I got one in the house, kind of like she's a relative or something like that. But she just passed, and TSU, Texas Southern University, they have a foundation or something like that in her behalf at the Thurgood Marshall of law, Thurgood Marshall School of Law. So they have that set up. So I have committed to maybe give a donation, either once a month, every now and then, or such and such and such, to that foundation because of that. But it was easier than we thought. And for one of the things too, I didn't have much problem with my in-laws. I heard a song yesterday, I think it was, probably about mother-in-law. Mother-in-law, she worried me to death and all this kind of stuff. And I always thought I never did have a problem with my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was all right. Aunties and her uncles and all of that. We all had a good time. We'd have those family gatherings, and they knew we were Muslims, and I knew they wasn't. So they'd be here drinking their beer and so forth. I'd be here drinking my soda, and I might come and stand by them and talk to them and all of that. But never did have a problem with them, and don't have a problem with them now. In fact, one of our uncles was the one that got me a good job at A.O. Smith Pipe Mill. All was at Cameron Irons, one of the two, but two of those places where I worked A.O. Smith Pipe Mill, and Cameron Hines during that time. Those were good jobs too. Yeah. But something hit me with that good job. I was going through Islamic life here in the community and so forth and all of that. And I don't remember whether I chose to go to San Antonio or Imam Kamaluddin sent me to San Antonio. But one Ramadan, I went to San Antonio and did Ramadan with them. And once I did that Ramadan, I came back home to Houston, quit my job. $10 an hour back then. You know, I don't know. I just felt like that's what I wanted to do. I quit my job, went back to San Antonio to be the Imam there. So I was the Imam there for a year, from 80 to 81. Had a good time there too, cause I'm one of those. I kind of like to get around a little bit, and I like to mix a little bit, you know. So while being there, one of the things that came about was the Craig campaign, the Craig committee that the Imam had pushed to remove all images that attempt to portray the divine. And one of the things that stood out to me about that is that one day, one night it was, because sometimes we do it in the day and night. It didn't make no difference when you're going with these petitions and handing out leaflets and all of these things. I was at, I guess it was a bazaar or something like that, and trying to get a guy to sign a petition, because we were trying to get a petition for the Imam and the Pope at that time to have a dialogue on the effects of racial images in religion. And one guy, he said, what? You want to remove all of the images? I said, yeah. Man, do you realize all that artwork that y'all talking about removing? That beautiful artwork, he said. I said, well, yeah, you know. But when you think about it, these statues and paintings and all of these things that we have in our society, that's some heavy artwork, you know. And for the Muslim to be conscious of what pictures do, especially pictures that's supposed to be connected with God and angels and all of these kinds of things, you know, the mother of God. Yeah, I say the mother of God because just before I became a Muslim, I was a Catholic. In fact, my wife and I, when we got married, I was Catholic, you know. So that's another experience that helped me to kind of understand what's going on in the life and the mind of other religious people other than Muslim, you know. But the Craig campaign was something else. I got a chance to be with some of the black ministers there in San Antonio. And one of the big things that stood out to me about that was went to one of those ministerial meetings, and when those preachers came in, they come in, and I'm looking at them and said, boy, these cats here look like gangsters. They was sharp and everything, but they have that macho about them, that air about them, you know. And they sit around shucking and jiving and all these kind of things. I said, this is really something here. So I'm checking them out, and look just like some gangsters coming to a meeting. You know, I don't mean that everybody's a gangster, but at the same time, that was my impression of those particular ones there in San Antonio. But hooked up with them a couple of times and so forth. And I remember one of the preachers, he said, what? Because we were at that time working on trying to stop talking about black. And he said, well, y'all done pushed us and made us give up to get into black. Now you want us to give it up? I said, yeah, well, that's what we're trying to do. But he said, I don't know how you gonna do that. So He's passed away now. He was one of the big ones of that there. In fact, our Masjid was right across the street from his church. He had a nice church. I used to go over there and sit in his church and all of that, sitting in the church. We had a couple of our brothers out of this Masjid used to teach Sunday school at a couple of churches in Third Ward, because we were going out. We didn't stay in these walls all the time. That's not my thing. I'm not happy closed up in here all the time, just talking to the walls and talking to the choir, as they say. But I like to pass out leaflets in the neighborhood. That was one of the things that I did there in San Antonio. Find the community and make some leaflets and go out and put them on people's doors. And I would pick a time in the morning when most of the people were at work, and all I'd do is just put it on the door. And you don't have time to lose time talking to somebody, trying to do dawah. Just put it there and keep on going. One brother called it guerrilla dawah, where you hit and keep going. But I like to do that. I still do that. I did that in Abilene. I'll tell you about Abilene in a little bit. But one of the brothers there in San Antonio, he referred to me as the walking Imam, because I'd walk the community. I like doing that because my philosophy was and is, if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, take Muhammad to the mountain. Yeah. But in many cases, you got to do that physically. Now, we got all this electronics and all these kind of things and all of that. But at the same time, there's still a section of people that's not being reached. They still don't understand life as they should. Not talking about being a Muslim, but I'm just talking about being understanding life, period, as it should be. What does it mean to be a human being? And you get to tell them that it takes more than just looking at this and calling that human, But one of the things that we did also at the Masjid there for fundraisers, we'd do dinners, and we had a few people that worked downtown in San Antonio that they would buy the dinner, so we'd fix the dinners and ride, and take the dinners downtown. I used to go to Lackland Air Force Base also, because like I say, I like to get around, but also I had to walk a lot too there in San Antonio because I didn't have a car, not at that time. So I walked a lot of places from where I lived to the Masjid, and from the Masjid back to where I live, which might have been about 2.5 miles, 3 miles maybe. So, nice little distance to walk. But one of the things that I found out in Lackland, I used to go there, and I don't remember how I got hooked up with him. It's a lot of things I do that I can't remember. Folks have to tell me about certain things. I don't know why I don't remember some things. Other people do. But I do remember at Lackland that it was time, just about time for Maghrib. So when I come in, the brothers were still standing. I come in and sit down. He said, "No, brother, no, you can't sit down." I said, "Why? What are you talking about?" "Buddy, we don't sit down at this time. We don't sit down until the adhan is given." I said, "Oh, okay." So I put that in my shirt pocket or in my back pocket or whatever, and see who else had that ruling that if you come into the masjid or masala or something like that, and it's close to Maghrib time, you don't sit down and wait for Maghrib. You got to wait for the adhan to be given, and then you may sit down or do whatever you want to do. So I don't know. I haven't had that tested anywhere else on that. But that's one thing. So a lot of little things that I picked up in my journey here. I tell people, I haven't had what you call a mentor. Imam Kamaluddin was my Imam, You see, that was mentor and sword fighter and fire breather and everything else under here. But we also had a little action. I refer to it as what we talk about, putting the neighbor in the hood. There was 2 apartment complexes. One that was pretty close to the masjid, a couple of blocks around the corner from the masjid. And we had a PA system. We take the PA system, set it up, and I'd stand in front of the complex and across the street from it and just start talking, teaching. And people would come out and stand around. Some of them come out on the porch and sit and look and listen. And we did the same thing at another complex. I had a drive there. I can't remember the street, but it was another complex, and we do the same thing, because I just like to engage this environment that we're in, this word environment that we're in. So we had a nice little time doing those kinds of things. But now I wound up having to come back here though, because when I made that move, I went, come on, baby, she said, and she, and then she did come down there to visit. And the house that I was in, I didn't have a bed. I was sleeping on the floor. Wasn't no furniture in there. Trying to get them together and all of that. She said, she no, I can't handle this. Oh, it's gonna be all right. Soon I got a bed and all that kind of stuff. But no, she said, So it wound up, Imam Kamaladi says, brother, if your wife ain't gonna go up there with you, you got to come back here. Can't have you down there with them women. Come on back down here if she ain't gonna go up there. I said, okay. So I wound up having to come back to Houston. But when I came back, quit that good job and thing, now what am I gonna do? Well, I had to fiddle around in here and work in all of that. One of the things that I remember as being a parking lot attendant. People get out of the car and then you drive them and park them and come back and valet parking and all of those kind of things. That went on for a while. But in the meantime, I'm attending Islamic sessions here and there and dawah here and such and such and such and such and all of that. Still being active. But the thing that really stands out for me is the help that Imam Kamaluddin gave me. It was something he saw in me, I guess, but he allowed me to go to Imam's meetings, because at that time we had regional meetings where Imam Muhammad would come around and visit different regions and all of that, And Imam Kamaluddin allowed me to be in those meetings, even though I wasn't an Imam. That was very interesting. And we was in Tulsa, New Orleans, Little Rock, Fort Worth, Ville Platte. I think Ville Platte is somewhere in Louisiana. Dallas, Lacombe. I think Lacombe might be in Louisiana too. But Detroit, Chicago, all of these places. And got a chance to see Imam Muhammad teach like an old professor. Had his cap on backwards, his shirt off and the suspenders, and he's teaching. He ain't not giving a lecture, he's teaching, And sometime we were outside at some camp. One time we were at a school, a campus of some college and all of these kind of things. So all of this has helped me to, I guess, develop and enjoy Islam and being a Muslim. One of my big things was I was thinking about this big time preacher, Dr. Jack Evans. I got a chance to debate with him because Imam Kamaluddin sent me to debate with him instead of himself. But before that, Imam Muhammad had also had a debate with Dr. Jack Evans. Then Imam Kamaluddin, I'm not sure, maybe Imam Yahya also talked with Jack Evans too. But I know that the time that I went there, Imam Kamaluddin, he sent me. Jack Evans was at Southwest Christian College in Terrell, Texas. And I guess that's where we were. I can't remember, but I just remember being there. But one of the things that stood out was when he talked first, he said the same thing that he said with Imam Muhammad. And I already had a cassette of the talk. So I had heard it and all of that and so forth. And then when he started saying what he was saying, I said, oh, shoot. So that made me change my mind. And I guess it made them change their mind too, because when I came out with what I did, it wasn't connected with that like they wanted it to be. So once I started talking, you could see them scrambling in the back, trying to get this up together and all these kind of things. So that went well. It went well until I got back here. And when I got back here, and I don't know if I told him, Kamaluddin, or somebody else told him, but they recorded the talk. And boy, when I told him they recorded it, oh man, he hit the ceiling. Told me a new one. Well, I didn't know because I had already had a cassette of it, so I thought it was all right. But he was really hot. Boy, he was really hot. He told me up and down. I said, golly. I mean, it was horrible. Hurt my feelings something terrible. Because I don't know if either the same day or the day after, I went out, because at that time I had well, I don't know if it wasn't a Muslim Journal, might have been Battalion Speaks, I don't know. But I had the papers, and I'm going door to door, you know. And I went and knocked on a few doors and all of that. But he had beat me up so bad till I just couldn't go. I said, oh, man, I had to stop, go home, lay down. Because, I mean, this cat, he told me a new one, without a doubt. So now, let me get to this part, because I'm almost, well, I got to try to hurry up to you with all of these ideas and things. But now, my service as an imam here, from 1985 to 95. And I always say that I got the job in the process of elimination, because there were other brothers that were qualified and also had the position, but for some reason this one didn't last, and he didn't last, and this one didn't last, you know. I know one of them was a businessman, and so therefore he couldn't be an imam and the business too. So he said, no, I got to stay with the business, you know. So it wound up with me. Brother Talib, you would you? So I thought about it. I said, well, because I'm looking at all of this, being at these meetings and things, and I said, well, if I take this job, I would have to be full time. I said, oh, so they agreed that I would be a full-time imam. And that's the thing, that's what I still feel like. If we got somebody, or if we have a masjid that can support an imam, you know, then I think that works out better than many of our imams just being part-time. You know, you're working here, or you got business here, or you're doing something else and all that, and you come here and so forth. I think that's my opinion. That it's better for the whole thing if that's his job, to just be the imam. But one of the things that is something else, you know, the way this building was made. This part here was open. It was made in an A-frame, because it was a Science Christian church that we got. It made an A-frame and a glass stand you could see out there. And this was open. A long part of the building here, we had a breezeway, and another part of the building over there, and an office building over here, and all of these kinds of things. So it was open. People could walk off the street and walk in here and sit out, because we'd be sitting a lot of times out there in the vestibule, I guess you call it, looking out the window. People would come in and sit and talk and look and all of these kinds of things. But that also allowed someone to shoot at us. Well, they didn't shoot at us, they just shot a hole in the window up there, scaring the I don't know what out of us. So now we wind up having to come here and stay all night on security. A couple of brothers, 2 or 3 brothers, volunteer, they come and stay all night, and others come and stay all night, and it's that. We did that for a while. And at one of those times, we come up, and there was a big cross burning right out there on the lawn. Big cross. Somebody set a cross on fire out there, So those were some exciting times to be able to have to come here and stay all night and be on security, looking like, still nobody got a gun. Don't even have a stick. I got a stick in the car called a licking stick. I should have had that at the time, but we didn't even have that, But those were some of the things that we had to do. But one of the things that was interesting about it, well, let me do this. Because, again, I like to go out in the community doing dawah and all of that. We got a chance to get some of the brothers from the ISGH, and we take them to different parts of the community, 5th Ward and so forth and all of that, 3rd Ward, have them trembling and all of that, because they'd be scared. We put a brother with one of the Arabs, and he'd go to do all of this. But that was an interesting thing. But now, this is something I wanted to do before we close. Because this has been on my mind for a little while. Now, you see this right here? In case you don't know, this is a cyclist cap. This is what bicycle riders wear. They used to. I think they've got helmets now, but this is a bicycle cap. Cyclist. If you want to be hip, you turn the beer up here, and you got Pepsi there, and so forth and all of that. And I'm doing this because when I went to Abilene to work in the prisons, did the same thing there. Leaflets out in the neighborhood, found a few places where I could put it in the neighborhoods. I was a member of the Black History Committee and Interfaith Council, myself, a Jewish man, and a Presbyterian woman. We formed an Interfaith Council there in Abilene, and we'd have meetings and so forth and all that. That was, it was here. It was good, But when I came back here, after working up there, because again, I came back because one of the brothers had retired, and we needed a replacement. They said, well, why don't you send Haywood? He's from Houston. Why don't you send him? Let him go back there to Houston. So when I come back to Houston, not long after that, one of the brothers, old Paul, Paul likes to make cracks and all of that, and he made a crack about riding a bicycle. I said, I wonder what's that for? Because now this is 20 years have gone. And he's making this crack about me riding a bicycle as the Imam here, because that was one of the situations that came about. And the other thing that really got to me, you hear things, heard that they say that the community was so poor here that they couldn't pay me. They had me riding a bicycle. I said, boy, now this is really something. See, I got this cap, and I'm thinking, I'm almost sure Dujana gave me this. I don't think I got it at the thing because I went on a 50-mile tour. I rode a 50-mile tour. That's why I like this cap. I rode a 50-mile tour on the bicycle with Dujana, brother Dujana, Abdul Nur. I think he still rides, and that's why I got this cap. I had a certificate and all that. I think it's still at home. But I thought about that. I say now, maybe I'll get a chance one of these days, and maybe somebody else will always only say, why was I riding a bicycle? Not only was I riding a bicycle, I ride the bus and everything else. but I lost my driver's license. I lost my right to drive. That's what it was. It wasn't because we didn't have no money, although we didn't have no money. The community didn't have much money. My wife and I didn't need much money. So in a sense, that was all right for us. For the community as a whole, we made it on a little or nothing, because my wife and I, we've always lived within our means. And the community here, at that time, we didn't have those fundraisers like we had, those rallies like we have now, because we were, I don't know if we were still kind of close to the Nation of Islam days when they would have those rallies. The minister would come up, who got $50? I got 100. I got this, I got that. You know, what are you, brother? What you got? What you got? You know, and they'd raise all that money. And then after the thing is over, they go to the treasurer. Look here, brother treasurer, give me my $50 back. You know, yeah, sure. You know, give me my. So they'd be throwing up that $50 just to get other people fired up. So, you know, the Imam was hip to that. We didn't do that, but that changed. And it's not exactly the same now. But during that time, you know, we didn't have a whole lot of money. You know, I like Farouk. And Imam Kamaluddin, he put pressure on us because he was a go-getter. He wanted to do things, and we got a big sign out there that was beautiful. But it was costly like I don't know what. You know, it cost a whole lot of money for us to have that sign out there. But that was my reason for riding the bike, because I had lost my right to drive because I hit a city bus and didn't have no insurance. So I lost my license. I guess it was for a year, so I don't know how long it was, but I lost my license. And in the meantime, you know, I'm walking, and I had this bicycle. And the bicycle that I had, I don't remember the brother's name, but it was a husband and wife. They moved from here and went to Atlanta. The brother was kind of stocky, about my height, kind of stocky. I can't remember his name. Him and his wife. Know him well, but he left the bicycle because he was going. I said, well, I'll take that. Yeah, let me have that. And that's how it come out, that I had a bicycle to ride. And I was used to riding a bicycle because as a youngster, in Fifth Ward, we'd be riding up and down Lyons Avenue all the time, getting behind the buses and chasing the buses and you know, and all of this kind of stuff. So like I say, I'm a little bit physical. So to ride that bike, that was fun to me. Now I thought about it, I said, now, if that's still on the minds of people, I say, I bet, because we used to have a lot of activities. We'd go to Tom Bass Park and have fun runs, softball games, picnics, all that kind of stuff. And I know one time I came to the Tom Bass on the bike, you know, and that probably knocked them out. Oh, Lord, here's the Imam on the bicycle. Oh, golly, they want to hide, you know. But it was easier to go down Cullen than it is now, because it wasn't as fast and all of that and crowded as it is now. So I'd riding down there just as exercise too, not only just to go to the picnic, but I've been going down there anyway. That's how I was able to go and ride to the picnic and then ride back home, part of my exercise. But I thought about that. I said, now this is really something that somebody still got that on their mind, and whatever the idea is, it ain't cool. So I just want to mention to whoever might be still thinking about that, the only reason I was riding the bike is because I lost my driver's license or my right to drive because of a wreck I had with a city bus and didn't have any insurance. So I was riding the bus, riding the bike. I rode that bike everywhere, to the bank, downtown and back, all these kinds of things. Rode the bus here and there, all the time, from here to Talib, Masjid and back. And there was an interfaith meeting down in close to Herman Park. I can't think of the name, Archer House or something like that. But I used to go to that. You know, I went to a lot of meetings and things. Me and a couple of brothers and sisters, we go to a lot of activities all around here, you know. And I remember, and I'm gonna get ready to close because It's back about just about time. I was at, I had people that were shooting at me while I was here. Oh yeah, you had a lot of folks that were shooting at me, coming in and trying to undermine and trying to change me and all that. Me and brother Abdul Hassan, brother Hassan, he was my assistant at one time. So this was the Masala here, but it was a different setting. But we'd have halakha meetings before the Sunday Talib. So we'd come and set up, kind of have a circle like, even to the point where the sisters that was back there, they was facing us, and we'd have a circle here facing them. You had some of the brothers, they couldn't stand it. They sit there and turn their back to the sisters, But that was what I liked, having the halakha, and we were studying the Qur'an. Because I wanted to know, how do you see this? How do you see this? Can you read? Can you do this? So we'd have them halakas every Sunday before the Talib. And we had one brother that came from ISGH. He'd come in with all of his books and hadiths and all that kind of stuff, and his Arabic and everything, and he'd sit down, But then I had some of that language of Imam Muhammad was interpreted this way and that way and this way and that way. Oh man, we gave him the blues. And he couldn't crack us. Sometimes he'd get pissed off. He'd get his stuff. I'm going and I ain't never coming back. Well, I hit the door. I'm telling you, I can't tell y'all all of the stuff that I've done and had, but I'm still having fun, But yeah, he'd come in because he's a descendant of somebody, maybe the prophet's grand uncle, or I don't know what. He thought he was Mr. This and that, but he couldn't crack us. He'd come in and with some interpretation, and we give him this other interpretation. He'd have his hadiths and his books, and he'd get up and storm out. I ain't never coming. But hit the door, God dog it. Shoot, a couple of more weeks, here he is again. And I'm getting back to this interfaith, National Council of Christians and Jews, up there by Herman Park. At that building. I think the building is still there. I don't know if they still have no thing. But there's a couple of brothers that was always trying to shoot some skates on me. I think they wasn't trying to get me not to be the imam, but they were trying to change my direction in my language, And one day they was at the meeting. I was at the meeting, and I don't think they came with me or not, but they came because they knew I was there. They knew about it. Some of the folks knew about it. But anyway, they was there. Oh, they sitting up. They got their plan and all these kind of things, Say, Talib, we'll take you home when this is over. Say, oh, okay, all right. So I don't know what they did. Went to the restroom or somewhere. But when the thing was over and they come back looking for me, I'm over there across the street at the bus stop. Oh, Talib, we're going to tell us. That's all right, brother. Then the bus was just coming. That's all right. I'll see you later. I'm on the bus and gone. Gave him the slip again. I've had 2 or 3 episodes with those brothers, They even tried to put Imam Shuhaib on me one time. Shuhaib was in town. They invited me to a hotel room with him. They're going to try to get him to side with them against me. Shuhaib wouldn't bite, But you'd be surprised. And it's been something. But know this: the Houston Masjid of Al-Islam, now Masjidwdm Muhammad, has a name in this association. Chicago, Detroit, Arkansas, Louisiana, wherever you want, the Houston Masjid has a name. And Allah blessed us. Yeah, Allah blessed us. Because I wasn't the heaviest of all, but at the same time, we worked as a team. The community supported me. We had the school. We had a good time with the school. I guess Sister Naima probably mentioned something about the school. But we had the school. We had the dawah. We gave away meat. doing the Eid and all of that. You know, these folks like they do now. They slaughter them animals and give us the meat because they didn't have no way to do it. And we'd have people coming from the apartments down here. They coming from back there. And they'd come through and get that meat, you know. And when it wasn't time, they'd be, hey, bro, y'all got some of that meat? Say, no, not yet. We'll have some in a couple of weeks or so. But we've had a real good time here. I have, you know. It was stressful too. But at the same time, that's what gives me the joy that we were able to withstand that. Had a good relationship with the brothers and the sisters. You know, and sister took care of me. Sister took care of me in San Antonio too. In fact, one of them came back from San Antonio, Sister Zakia. She came here, not with me, but she still came here, and I made her the secretary. But I had to fire because she was kind of mean a little bit. And we got crossways right out here in the vestibule there with everybody. I tell you, you got to go, sis. But praise be to Allah. May Allah continue to bless us to be successful and to do this work and to live Islamically and be happy to be Muslims and be happy to be a part of this association. And we're always asking Allah to keep us strong. Keep us clean like we're supposed to be, you know. And let me close with this. I mentioned it the other day. Allah wants us clean and decent and so forth. And that cleanliness and that decency and those disciplines, that was done under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, that discipline that a lot of us have and lost some of it, that was done under him. Because I'm listening to a tape where Imam Muhammad said that his father said, son, you got to keep your whip. And sometimes you got to pop it. You know, and he said, well, that wasn't my style. So because that wasn't his style to pop the whip, he gave each one of us to pop the whip on ourselves, then we lost a little of that. Yeah, we lost a little of that discipline. We lost a little of that fight and vigor. We're all sophisticated now, you know, but Allah is still blessing us. So peace be unto you. I enjoyed this myself. Maybe we'll get together again. I don't know. Assalamu alaikum. Mm-hmm. Is it gone?
Assalamu alaikum. Stay tuned for the announcements. And thank you, Imam Haywood Talib, for such insightful words today. So for the announcements, we have here we go. Our Eid al-Adha celebration will be on Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. The Eid Takbir will be at 9 o'clock, the Salat will be at 9:30, and the celebration will go from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. At the celebration, there will be meals, gifts, games, and vending with a drive-through option available, and the prayer will be socially distanced, and there will be limited space. So please bring a mask and a prayer rug. To donate, go to tinyurl.com/WDM Eidfest 2021 or donate via the cashApp or Zelle for Masjid WD Muhammad. Here we go. For our community announcements, our virtual khutbah is at Friday every week at 1:30 on Friday every week at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's live streamed on Facebook and YouTube for Masjid WDM and Mercy Community Center. Our in-person Jumas are happening again at Masjid Warathuddin Muhammad. To register, go to tinyurl.com/MWDM Jum'ah and follow the mandatory guidelines. Masjid Warathuddin Muhammad is making it easier to donate and help the community to keep growing and working in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are asking 100 believers to commit to donating just $50 per month. Mercy Community Center is also having Jumas in person once again. To register, go to tinyurl.com/MCCJum'ah and follow the mandatory guidelines. Mercy Community Center and Masjid Al-Qur'an invite you to help spread the mercy. In the next 30 days, become one of the merciful 303. Use the QR code below to start your $30 reoccurring donation. The Ta'aleem/public address is available every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it is live streamed on masjidwdm and Mercy Community Center's Facebook and YouTube pages. Your zakat and donations are needed to support Masjid Warathuddin Muhammad programming and facilities. Please donate through the website, Zelle, PayPal, or cashApp shown on screen. Your zakat and donations are also needed to support Mercy Community Center, its programming and services. Please go to www.MercyCC.org/donation to make your donation. Muslima Nights is an event for Muslim sisters only, where sisters ages 13 through 18 and 18 through 30 can come meet fellow Muslimas and engage in faithful conversations. To join, follow one of the links on screen or go to or email muslimanights@gmail.com. Our new Muslim orientation class is on Sundays at 3 p.m. and led by Imam Elijah Salahuddin. To join, go to tiny.cc/new Muslim class. The sisters' halaqah is every second and fourth Saturday from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's women only, and to gain access, please email salimacogbill@gmail.com. The brothers meeting is every third Saturday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's brothers only. And to join, go to tinyurl.com/WDM brothers. There's still time to donate to have a brick as part of the fundraising donor wall. Go to tinyurl.com/MWDM donor wall to make that donation. That is all for the community announcements today. Thank you all for viewing this ta'aleem, and we pray that you have a blessed and fruitful Sunday. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.